My story tonight, I've also had quite a few jobs. I lost count at like 23. So we're gonna scroll back to one when I moved to Florida. So has anyone ever lived in Florida here? Okay, it's a whole different story than visiting. When you visit Florida, you see Disney, you see the beaches, but when you live there, there's a whole different side to Florida. And I had the opportunity through my job. I was in advertising sales with the St. Petersburg Times newspaper. And when you work in advertising sales, pretty much anybody that has money, you're going to see them as long as they fit like the short list of rules that the paper has. And in Florida, it was a lot shorter than the list when I worked at the Mainline Times. So they had quite a few more rules. So when I was in Florida, my first day there, it was a pretty busy day. I was, picking up accounts, going and getting new ones. But one thing that happened my first day, which was interesting, they had a big Winnebago in front of the office, and it was a skin cancer screening mobile. And they had a wellness program and all these great things down in Florida. So with my lovely Irish Catholic skin here and tons of freckles, I figured that would be a good idea to go and get checked. So I actually went and did that, and they look at me and with a magnifying glass, and they're looking at every freckle. I go to stand up, and they tell me I had a dark freckle on my shoulder here, and I said, what do they do? And if I needed to remove. So they told me that just as I was standing, and no sooner than that happened, I was out like a light. Dead flat, and the next thing I hear was snap, and you know what that was. The smelling salts, they brought me back to life. They didn't even touch me, and I fainted. So it's a great way to meet all of your future employees, but the story doesn't end there. Later on that day, my first appointment at the newspaper was, they were giving me my training, they're showing me around, they're doing this and that. And then what I did was, had an appointment at 5 o'clock to go to this office building to pick up an ad. And I went there, and it was 5 o'clock, and it was a pretty attractive office building with the palm trees and the wind blowing, beautiful day. So I parked where I saw a lot of cars at the building, so I figured that must be the entry, parked back there. And I saw a lot of people sort of lingering near the front door of the office building. And they were an eclectic group of people, what looked like senior citizens, retirees, young people, punk rockers, transvestites, you name it, they were all in that one spot, and they were sort of smoking cigarettes. So, I went in, and I asked for the person I was supposed to meet, sat down, very executive type office. And while I'm sitting there, and I just picked up the ad, I had learned to realize what I was there to pick up was an ad, but they owned a dance club. And when you're up here and somebody says they're a dancer, you're thinking Broadway. But when they say in Florida they're a dancer, that means a stripper. So so I'm trying to hold my very sort of Irish I just look too innocent face. I was in my late 20s there, and so I'm there taking the ads and all the verbiage that they're putting down, and some of it I didn't quite understand what it was at the time, and so I'm writing it all down. And then I see all those people were there, and I asked them, and I said, what were those people doing there? What else do you do here? And he goes, let me show you. So he walks me into this dark room with all these little cubicles, and they're tiny. They're maybe 2 feet wide with a chair in front of them. And I didn't know what it was. Apparently it was a phone sex operation also. So, and this was mid-90s, so they didn't have the electronics and the digital. They actually had 2 phones sitting in the little tiny cubicle, and I asked them, I said, can I watch to see how they do this? And he's like, sure, come on over. So I go stand between a few people, and And he goes, who do you want to stand near? And I'm like, you know, how about those two? So I stand between like an older lady that looked like she could have rolled off of the Overbrook Country Club set, and this very colorful young man who I soon realized I thought it was a man, but it actually was a woman that night. And they were doing their thing. And what they did was they had the two phones, and you would have two, you know, like office phones, like, you know, older phones. They would do their thing. They talk to one person. Hey, baby, how are you? Love you. Blah, blah, blah. Tell me about yourself. Ring, ring. Light goes off. The other phone goes on. So the person would lift the phone up like this, take the other one. Oh, tell me this and that, and then they'd bring them both down, and they'd tell their story to the same person, to the two people at once. And all I could think of was like, wow, the money that they were making was crazy, you know, almost better than the beers they were selling at the Grateful Dead concert I remember seeing. So that's my story.
Donna, everybody.